Hey guys, welcome to my super dope episode of A Guided Heart with the Fellas, an intimate conversation that we're going to have tonight. I am super excited to have these guys as my guests, and I will be just hosting this conversation and navigating them through as you guys talk. We are open to questions and as comments as you guys are asking, but we really are excited just to put this out there and have you guys be a part of this and just kind of get a feel of what the guys are. I am Tiffany Terry Thomas, a clinical sexologist, relationship coach, author of the best-selling book, Sis, Is It You? And I am so excited to have the guys. So I'm going to bring them on right now. And first we have To Hear More, comedian, actor, and creator from St. Louis and headed to a city near you. Welcome To Hear More.
You, what's popping? Yeah.
Next we have DJ Tabor. He is an influencer and a barber, and he is amazing and has an amazing spirit. Let's welcome DJ Tabor.
What's happening? What's going on, Tiff?
All right, we have next is Will Jordan, an artist and songwriter and nominated for a Grammy. I have been telling people he won one, but I'm putting it in the air. Yeah. And we have Will Jordan.
Yeah, speaking it into existence. Thank you.
And next we have Marcus Trufant, a retired NFL Seahawks player. He is married with 5 wonderful, beautiful children, and he is an amazing dad. Welcome, Marcus Trufant.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Appreciate it.
And last but not least, my wonderful co-host and my partner in crime and my soulmate for life, my husband, Brandon Thomas.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
What's up, dude?
I am so excited to have you guys. How is everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Solid.
We're doing great.
That is good. So I picked you guys personally because I've known you guys, and I've gotten to have some really awesome conversations with you. And I know one of the things that this was labeled was having an intimate conversation. And some people may be like, oh, are we talking about intimacy? Yes, we are talking about intimacy, but we're really talking about self-intimacy and self-care and Black men mental health and what that looks like. And so just to give everybody what it looks like, what intimacy is. Intimacy is closeness and familiarity with oneself and others. And so it is into me, I see. What kind of things do you think that you see inside yourself? I know that some of the guys, we have a couple people that are married. We have a couple people that are single. Can my married folks raise their hand?
I put up 2 hands. Oh, yeah.
And then we have 2 single guys, just to let everybody know, on the market. But yes, so diving into this conversation straight off the bat, my first question was to you guys is that how do you guys, what does emotional checkup look like for you guys? Like what type of things do you guys do when you guys need an emotional checkup? Like how do you actually check in with your heart, and what does that look like?
Who's gonna hit that first?
So who's first? Who's gonna jump at it?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. One of the things I do, it's something that my dad and my mom did growing up, and I never thought I'd be the kind of person to do this. But like before I do anything on my phone or talk to anybody, the first thing I do is wake up, read a chapter, do my journal, and write out my to-do list. And for the last probably 2 years, I've been doing that consistently just about every morning, and it has changed my life. It helps me to get grounded, to have an idea of what I need to get done that day, and it also gives me something to look back at or go back to when I'm feeling flustered or confused or feeling like I'm not getting stuff done. That's been very helpful for me.
Oh,
I'll
jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
I could
Go ahead,
piggyback
Tate.
off that. I've been on a profound study the last month or so, and it ties right into what Will's talking about. It's about really setting your day in the morning and working on yourself from the inside, the mind, which is where everything's created. Everything stems from the mind, and then it happens in reality. So knowing that, but I'm really starting to kind of get into the scientific aspect of it, and I can see why people do exactly what Will's saying to do, and I'm implementing that in my daily routine as well. as of recently, and I can see already it having great benefits on my mental. I'm happier. I'm more motivated. I'm optimistic. Man, I'm always been pretty optimistic, but I'm very optimistic, very hopeful, and I want to share it with everybody. So I right there with you, Will. Right there with you.
All right, I'll jump into it. For me, things aren't always so easy and so positive, right? You're talking to a married man. I got 5 kids, and life sometimes, yeah, 5. Please pray for me, my brothers, please, right? Yeah. so, things just happen sometime, right? And when you get out of whack, I know for me and my wife, sometimes when things get crazy, when things get out of control, that's when we gotta kind of pull each other to the side, right? And we gotta be like, all right, yeah, things is crazy. The kids is jumping around. I know the schedule is crazy, but we need to check in with us. I don't really have to be much. It don't have to be a full date night or whatever, but we need to sit down. We need to find some quiet and we need to talk, right? And sometimes those talks, they start off a little spicy or a little argumentative, but they come back around because that's what we do as married couples. I know that's what we do. It's not always perfect, but we find a way to get back to the love, to get back to a peaceful place, right? So that's kind of how our life is. It's crazy, but we can see things coming and we try to get to it before it gets too wild.
Nice.
That was dope. I talk to my wife a lot too. First off, shout out to the More Mob. I see y'all in the comments with the glasses. We out here. My wife is my best friend, so I typically start with her, and we can feel we're pretty in sync. So when one of us is going through something, even if we say no, I'm fine, I can tell or she can tell that we're still dealing with something. And sometimes that dealing with something means that you need to take a moment to collect yourself and get your words together before you start that conversation to make sure that you're going into it with the right mindset and you've thought about what you want to say, you're concise with it, and you're not coming from a place of malice, even if it's something that, falls in the line of constructive criticism. Aside of that, have a personal relationship with God, praying, sitting and waiting in silence, waiting for something to move me in the right direction, to be led in the right direction. And then my therapist. My therapist meet every Tuesday at 9 a.m. If I got something coming up, I hit her immediately like, yo, it's a conflict. Can I move it up an hour or to the next day? And it took me a while to get structured with that and accept that she's a big part of my life. Like my therapist, even if I'm on the road, I keep my appointments with her because that's a part of my guaranteed success. That's a part of my healthy communication that spills over to the business and the personal side of my life. So those 3 things right there is typically what I do to regroup and get started again.
That's good.
I can definitely relate to having my wife there and being able to talk to her and check in with her for sure. But I think it starts from like unlearning a lot of stuff that I learned growing up. Like it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express what you're going through instead of holding it in
So
and letting it eat away at you. Like prime example, me and Tahir had a check-in of maybe a few months back that was super solid. Kept me positive when I wasn't necessarily in the right mindset at the time. And it's just having them people around you that'll hold you accountable and who you can lean on when you don't necessarily have the answers and know where to go yourself. So you definitely got to keep a solid core of people or a group around you that can uplift you and keep you focused on what you're trying to do when you need those certain things. But like definitely checking in with Tiff on a regular basis, trying to have normalcy in that and making it my new normal, because it for so long it wasn't normal checking in with people and letting them know what I'm going through or the struggles that I was facing. I would hold it in, and then you can only do that for so long before you start lashing out at people and they don't know what's going on. So yeah, it's definitely being able to have people that you can express yourself to without judgment and who can help you figure those emotions out and keep you grounded.
I like everything that everybody said. And I think just to let the audience know, I think when I say emotional checkup, it's kind of like going to the doctor when you need just a regular checkup. And sometimes I think we as people diminish checking in with our emotions and our mental state because it's something that is on autopilot. It's just like I wake up and I go. The alarm goes off, the kids wake up, we go. And we don't recognize how important it is to take care of the mind, because the mind is what controls the rest of the body. And so it's always making sure that you check necessarily the engine, and making sure that there's a tune-up, and I'm checking this or whatever, and the oil or whatever, and just making sure that we are being mindful of that. Moving into my next question is that how do you guys handle an emotional injury? And what I mean by that is, like, in 2020, we got to see George Floyd get killed on TV. And then we had to deal with racism with Donald Trump coming out and really just unmasking all the racism, right? Which was honestly a blessing, because people were hidden in disguise. Or the oppression that we see on people, when in 2020 we saw a lot of people losing their jobs, losing their homes. To hear it mention something, he was like, man, this helped me, this thing helped me get through and stuff. Or like even in 2020, relationship issues where we were sitting in the house with our person or wherever, or by ourselves, and not having anyone to talk to, couldn't go to the store really or anything. How did you guys deal with your emotional injury, like depression, anxiety, and all those things?
Well, shit, I'll tell you, I was drinking. I
think a lot of us was. Yeah.
I was putting away bottles, you hear me? And not in a necessarily unhealthy way, but in a way that I could tell it was taking a toll on me. All that drinking, it'll catch up with you on the weight. If you're not balancing it with water, you can mess up your kidneys. And so I got to a point where I had to find a more creative outlet. And a lot of it still was communicating with my wife and my therapist. And like B said, restructuring my group of friends and having the right people around me where I felt comfortable having vulnerable conversations with people outside of my wife and my therapist. And then working out, accepting the harsh reality that the world is the world. We got a lot of work to do. Life's still going to be lifing. But they can't let you get to a point where you get so down that you forget your purpose. You stop, moving forward with your drive and your goals and all of those things. So that's really how I did mine. And then I started working out a little bit too, like once a month. I was.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I kind of had a little bit of the same thing, right? You at home, you got your drinks, you got whatever else you need that you feel like to get through the day and to get through those long nights, right? And we sitting here, we looking at social media, we're looking at TV, and everything is so negative, right? And I see myself as a very positive dude, glass half full all the time, right? But that was a tough time. It was a tough time emotionally. So I know for me, and just like B said earlier, it was very uncomfortable to kind of come out front with that and be like, all right, man, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. I'm the normal me isn't me. I'm laughing, kind of lashing out at the kids. I'm kind of going through it with my wife, just different things. So to be able to speak out loud about these things and be able to be vulnerable, man, and let my wife know, man, I'm in these group chats with my friends and different stuff like that, and just talking through all this stuff and just being upfront with it and letting people know that I'm struggling and that there is a problem there, I think is the first step. Because for a lot of us, it's not natural for us. If you don't have a therapist and you're not used to talking through these things, you kind of feel like you're stuck and you don't have nobody to turn to, and you turn to yourself and you try to figure things out on your own. And most of the time that just compounds things in the wrong way. So just being upfront, man, and kind of taking things, taking the bad as it comes, but really trying to lean into the positive, man, and celebrate everything that was positive. I don't care if it's a small win, it's a big win, but really trying to lean into those wins and being able to celebrate that with your crowd or your tribe that's right there with you.
Sure.
I mean,
All right,
kind
Tip. So, do you want my conspiracy theorist answer, or do you want me to like mix it? Like, you want? But nah. So I kind of recognize that like the media is fear based. Like it's a fear based. It's negative. Even when they give you the stories, it's always drenched in negativity. And I recognize what that does to our minds, ourselves. State of fear is not a good place to be in. So I got to the point where I don't allow that stuff to affect me to the best of my ability. You know what I mean? And I really don't watch it, but yet they started evoking rules and laws that affect everybody, and they tell you to stay home. I was like, that's the worst thing for us to do. You know what I mean? We're social beings. We need to be around people. If you lock somebody in a cage for 25 hours a day, they're going to come out a little cuckoo. You know what I mean? So during that time, me, myself, I went and rediscovered my love for basketball. And, I'm out here in Texas, new surroundings, new people. We made a lot of new friends. And I use basketball really to be that conduit for me to not let that stuff affect me. You know what I'm saying? And, but not to say that it still wasn't affecting other people. And I was just trying to, just help as much people as can with perception. Perception is reality. So if you're being told all day that something's out there, you can't see it, it's killing people, stay in your house, stay by yourself. But yeah, you're never hearing, go get you some sunlight. That's good for you. You're never hearing, get you some juices. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Fellas, this is a good conversation for all of you.
You know what I mean? So I was trying to do my little part with just sharing that with others to try to not allow that negative cloud take over people's minds, and it will really have you living a life that's not really you. You know what I mean? So me during that time, basketball was a thing, and I was also studying a lot. I was learning a lot, learning the herbs, learning, I knew somebody that had a cure with this. I'm not trying to get us bad, you feel me? But
the people will come and see you, bro.
A 2-day cure, you know what I mean? So I think that whenever there's something negative that's floating around, life is about balance. There's always something on the opposite side. So if you're telling me there's something bad out there, there's also something to alleviate it, other than just, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get political, but that's really kind of what I did during that time for myself. And I felt like it was good. Here I am. I'm still, what I'm saying, I'm 40 years old. I'm in these leagues. They still getting these buckets. You know what I'm saying? What, Marcus?
Interesting.
Hey, I got a trainer out here now, Marcus. It's a little bit different, man.
I done seen the game from way back. I don't know if it's
a little bit. That's what I'm saying. It's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I use a negative to create a positive.
Fair. No.
But that's what I did. You know what I mean? And I think we all have the ability to tap into our happiness. You know what I mean? What makes you happy? You know what I mean? Life gets you to the point where you working 80 hours, 90 hours, 100 hours a week. You know what I mean? Well, what made you happy as a child? Does that still not make you happy no more? Did you like to draw? Why do you not draw anymore? You know what I mean? And I just went back to my first love, and it really helped keep me grounded. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. What about you, Will?
Music, art, just creating stuff. Music has always been like a great outlet for me. I have some fellow Tacomans in here, so they know about growing up on Hilltop in the early 90s and how that can kind of shape your childhood, and those early traumas and experiences can kind of affect how you relate to the rest of the world. So music has always been my go-to kind of like a way of journaling and getting my thoughts out and connecting with people. And it gave me a way to express how I felt and to share how I felt without having to hear somebody's reaction or response. Because Facebook was a wild place during the pandemic. There was a lot of people that I thought were certain people, and they turned out to have different opinions and did not really, from what I learned, value my life or the life of my brothers and sisters. So it was like I got to get away from this, but I still got to put the word out there and express myself. So music really, not to sound dramatic, but it really saved my life during that time. And then just as an entertainer, like we had been touring, and we had another tour set up, and I think our first date was like March 21st or something. Everything shut down like March, so that was a scary time. So I learned how to Zoom. I learned how to make YouTube content and Instagram content, and just got really, really, really creative. And then also just like that's the time where I really started getting in my word and really started reading and really developing my relationship with God. I'm a preacher's kid, so I grew up in the church. If any of you know that little white church across the street from our babies in Tacoma, that's my dad's church. So I was always in church, but that's when I really got tested and had to like get to know things for myself and build that relationship and that connection for myself. And that's what really, really got me through it.
What about you, B?
I think first it was acknowledging that I wasn't good after a while. With seeing everything that was going on, and then hearing, and like Will said, seeing stuff on Facebook, seeing stuff that people were saying that you might have thought was one way and then ended up being another. But I think I poured a lot of energy into just my family, just to keep me grounded. Getting to know, I feel like we got a lot closer than we've ever been through that time, just spending so much time with each other, learning new things about each other and stuff like that. So my family really helped me down during COVID. I didn't have nothing else to really lean on. So you guys y'all was all I had. So between that and music, and then I would say journaling, getting my thoughts down on that paper really helped me to just release a lot of that anger that I was feeling. That was an angry time for me, just with everything that was going on, and not being able to really go outside and just be normal, I guess. So family journaling, music, movies, just the little things. I think I found some happiness in the little things that we had or were able to do, and just remembering, why I love those things, and just getting to know myself a little better intimately outside of the things that I was doing normally with other people or in groups, just stuff like that.
No, I think I like that. I don't know if you guys are aware. So I noticed that Only to Hear made a comment about seeing a therapist, and 26.4% of Black men in the United States see a therapist, and 46% of white men see therapists. And so it's interesting because they say that part of the reason is because we lack trust. And we lack the ability, also because most of you guys want the same race of provider. And so to ask to hear really quick, is your provider African-American?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is super cool too.
So
that was a big thing. That was a big thing for me.
And
like a lot of
we only have 5% of those. Yeah.
So it is a struggle. And you have outlets like BetterHelp that they have a lot of Black providers, because you could be an independent contractor somewhat with BetterHelp. And like I have a couple friends that are therapists, and they're all Black as well. So the numbers are going up. It's just it's a slow burn, because it took a while for us to even come over to therapy. A lot of us were raised in neighborhoods and families where you kept household business in the house. You didn't go out in the streets, talk about that. And we were also raised where even as a kid, this is something that I've just always said and believed in years. We were raised differently from men and women. Women were raised to be nurturers. You were given a baby doll, and you were told to take care of your baby doll. You do your baby doll hair. You don't let your baby doll get dirty. Don't leave your baby doll on the ground. Where's your baby doll? Bring your baby doll with you. Were raised to be nurturers. You give hugs. You encourage us to kiss on the cheek and all of that. Whereas as young men and boys, when we failed off a bike or jumped and hurt ourselves, we were immediately told to stop crying.
Right.
We were immediately told to not express ourselves. We were immediately told to not show that emotion. And so if you grew up like that, and if you happen to be a child in a single parent household, and that was only influenced and encouraged that type of behavior from uncles and cousins and things of that nature, you don't know how to even tell somebody you were upset. So when B was like, being in the house made him angry, I was so happy he said that, because a lot of times as men, we want to act like we too cool or too calm to get angry. Nigga, be angry, bro. The world is shut down, bro. I can't even go to the mall. I'm stuck in here. Look, Marcus got 5 kids. 5. I would have been at the gas station for hours just walking by because I'm angry, bro. And a lot of times when we do get angry, one, we don't feel comfortable telling to our friends. We don't want to look weak. We don't feel comfortable sometimes telling it to our partner because we don't want to seem like a lesser leader in their eyes, because we do care about optics. No matter how we say, I don't care what other people think, I ain't worried about that. We do care, nigga. We care so much, right? So a therapist was necessary for me because I always thought I was a good communicator. And I am on a surface level, but when it comes to more meaningful relationships and unpacking the trauma that I had carried with me from all of those years of being told not to show emotion, being told that I'm a big boy to get up, being told that I'm a grown man, I got to take care of stuff, all of that stuff. I would have been married for 7 years, and it was areas of my life that my wife did not have access to because I still had those walls built by trauma and a survival mentality. I still have them up intact. I'm 7 years in the game with my wife, and I still got these walls up. There's still areas of my life that are so dark for her at that time. So therapy for me wasn't just about the healing. It was also about being a better husband, being a better father, being a better businessman, being a better friend. And now, like one of my New Year's resolutions was for my inner circle, for me to make more time and really develop those relationships. Because again, I was a great communicator on the surface, like, hey baby, how you doing? Hey, let me get your drink. Everything good? Okay, boom, move on to the next person. I would never stay long enough for you to really find out what's going on with me, or if something was going on with me, I wouldn't come around. Because I cared about the optics so much. I didn't want you to ever view me as a lesser man. And therapy has helped me transition to letting the right people view me in those vulnerable states so they can lift me up and I don't have to carry this load by myself. Therapy and my wife. My wife is the dopest person in the world. She's my best friend. Always will be.
I love that you said that, to hear, because recently, just in the past month, Brandon has been getting free therapy from me.
Nice.
Late at nights until the wee hours of the morning. And there was one day where, and I'm going to ask you guys a question. There was this one day where I knew he felt something strong, and he just kept downplaying it. So I have this word wheel in my book, and it sorts out your emotions, right? And so I handed it to him, and I said, use the word wheel. Tell me how you feel. And he's looking for a long time. And I said, I want you to know that it's okay to pick more than one word. And he was like, and he ended up listing. I had to tell him 3 or 4 times, okay, you can pick some more words. And he ended up picking 9 or 10 words about how he was overall feeling. Do you guys feel like you have a space for that?
To be honest, I told you my situation, what I got going on. And I feel like, I know a lot of guys probably feel like this. They got kids in the mirror. You feel like you have to remain kind of like this unshaken rock, right? And you got to be continuously at this place to be able to deal with everybody else. But I came to find that doing that for a long period of time, you eventually gonna crack. You lash out, you break down, and you just not having a good time overall, right? It's tough to always feel like, okay, I can't even show this because I feel like I got to be over here and do this. And that could be for your spouse, that could be for your wife, that could be in business, friends, that could be for mom, dad, that could be for anybody, right? If feeling like you got to take all the punches for everybody and just kind of do it with a straight face. And so there was a period of time that, well, I didn't feel like I had that luxury, right? And not that anybody put that on me. I kind of put that on myself. I just felt like that's what I had to do. And I kind of learned that just from
life,
the neighborhood, I guess, in life.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, just like, okay, I got to be able to take all this on. If I'm going to be a man's man and I'm going to take care of business, this is what I got to do. And I end up just finding myself being in these dark places, right? and I'm pretty chill and pretty laid back and pretty quiet, but if there was a couple people there that I could talk to, I would get in men's groups. I would get in church men's groups, and I would go through these spiritual awakenings, right? And I would come out of that, and I would feel refreshed, right? And then I would be able to go back to my tribe. I'll be able to go back to my people, and I could be a better me. So, if feeling like you don't have that space, or if you don't want to be able to be vulnerable in those spaces and take like a piece of therapy or be able to talk through some of these things, it could be a dangerous, dark place.
I was going to say really quick, go ahead, Tahir, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and this is for Will, I'm sorry, Marcus and B, D and Will, I don't know your situation like with dating or anything like that, but even with your friends and, people that who do you have in your life, we pick these people for a reason. I picked my wife because she was the first person I could see myself spending the rest of my life with, but also I knew she would make a good business partner and good life partner. And what I've learned through therapy and through life is that when we do that, when we carry that whole load, when we take all of those punches, we deny them the potential and the possibility to show up for us. You pick that person because you know they will be a great partner, not just like for marriage, but for business, for parenting, all of that. And when you don't open up to them, you deny them the potential and that possibility to show up for you. So I would encourage everybody to let the people you have in your inner circle be the people that you need. And I know it's a hard thing to I know, Marcus. I know the optics.
I got it.
Bro, the vulnerability that you will gain from that and the feeling of joy you get when they come through for you. And it's not gonna be every time. Sometimes they might not do it the way you want to, but when you allow them to show up and they do it and you feel like that's one less thing you have to carry by yourself, bro, it's so freeing, bro. It's so freeing.
That's a really good point. I recently, and so I've dealt with like, I guess you can say depression in the last few years, but it really wasn't from the pandemic stuff. It was more me. My little, fall from grace and shame, living with shame and regret from me, falling from walking that path with God. And boy, I try to tell you, man, them negative thoughts, the way you perceive yourself in your mind, being overly critical to yourself, I'm realizing how like that drew me to the point that I was at, man. And man, shout out to my sister, my cousin. I had a really big breakthrough, and they played such a major role in it, because when you are critiquing yourself to the point of like it can draw you into depression, you tend to forget the good characteristics of yourself, the good things that you've done, the accomplishments, the goals that you've set, and it just seems like everything is all bad. And man, shout out to my sister Jasmine and my cousin Christy, man. They really built me back up and allowed me to become back who I really am. You know what I'm saying? And now I know that I got to do the same for others, because it's all reciprocal. You know what I mean? And but man, that's some important stuff, man. Really having somebody that can give you a different perspective, especially if you in a dark place where your thoughts tend to lean more towards negative, and you never want that self-image of yourself to be so negative, because it's going to play out in your life. And man, they built me up. I was like, dang, for real? Yeah, I did that. Damn, okay, I wasn't that bad of a dude. Okay, I'll keep going. You know what I mean? And so I think that it's really important. And I'm, like I said, I've been on a study about just positivity, and I know it's kind of corny in this time that we live, because negativity is so pushed on us. But I don't give a damn. Like, I really don't give a. You can't give a damn, man, when you really see it and you've lived it, and you like, oh, I don't want to deal with none of that stuff in here anymore. So I recognize that when I remain focused on positive, when the negative thoughts do come, I get rid of them like King Griffey Jr. You know what I'm saying? You got to get rid of them joints and really live it out. And because it will play out in your life, and then you can be more of a blessing to others. And but I definitely got to say, man, shout out to, and it's not just them, it's a lot of other people. You know what I mean? I got a really good friend here in Houston that, man, he does checkups on me, and it was kind of foreign to me because I never really had those type of relationships. But he'll call early in the morning. I'm like, man, come on, man. You know I'm doing my Instagram scroll, man. Come on. But he'll call and just be like, how you feeling today, bro? You good? Hey, yeah, bro. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the shade room. What you think? No, but it really we do get into some really good conversations, and then like he'll question my perception because your reality is based on your perception, even of yourself. So if your perception of yourself is on some negative stuff, he could help redirect your thoughts. And the self-image is so important. How you look at yourself and perceive yourself will play out in your life. And I'm learning this now. And I don't talk, man. I'm not doing I used to do the jokes, make little jokes about myself. Man, no. I ain't doing none of those no more. I'm trying not to even use words like not, can't, shouldn't, won't.
And not using corny either, because it's not corny.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
Even just like little things like that. I was gonna say the Bible says to take every thought captive, and that means to grab it and say, okay, this is not here. And what I think Tahir also brought attention to is that you have to have an air traffic control team in your brain. So thoughts are like flying in as planes and stuff like that, and you get to control what lands. And so if you're not, it should never just be you by yourself. And Tahir made a great point. Like, it's his wife, it's his therapist. DJ even brought, like, other people are bringing forth saying, hey, there's no landing space for that. This plane cannot land here. This thought cannot land here. And you guys, I just want to make sure that and even me, you guys all have my tech number now. It's like, I am a space for you to bounce things off because I care about you guys, and I care about the health, the mental health of you, and I want you to have mental wealth, because I think that you guys are 5 amazing men that have the potential to deposit great things in big ripple effects into our communities and stuff like that. And just being mindful of those things and being aware of that. Do you think that vulnerability and transparency is something that you're scared of?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Off top. And maybe because I know for me, doing anything, if I have the reps at it, or if I do it a bunch of times, then I'm pretty comfortable with just about doing anything. But if it's something that's outside of my box, those thoughts and those fears, okay, I don't want to mess it up, I don't want to be looked at like this, the fear can be there. So that's why, like, I try to get reps at anything that I do. The conversations I have with my wife, just being open, I try to do it as much as I can. And even if she don't want to hear it, right, I try to put it out anyway, because just getting comfortable and being in the space, I think that goes a long way.
What about you, B?
I mean, I fight with that every day. I feel like it's something that hasn't been normal for me. I'm getting used to it. I feel like I have gotten better with it. But I'm starting to surround myself with people who are comfortable with the things that I'm uncomfortable with.
That's big, B. That's a word, B. Say it again. Say it again.
You gotta surround yourself with people who are comfortable with the things you're uncomfortable with.
Goddamn right.
But that's heavy.
That
That is heavy. Yeah.
Honestly, that has been huge for me. And even with you pushing that on me and allowing me to seek that in people that I've known, but I would kind of shy away from, because I knew that they would expect certain things out of me and I didn't want to deal with it. So, I mean, just acknowledging that and accepting the challenge of stepping outside of myself and challenging myself to be a better version in that. And vulnerability it's not a weakness, as you know, right. For most men, I feel like when they hear that word, they think of somebody that's weak. But in reality, it's one of the strongest things that you can be.
For sure.
I would say just nurturing those relationships, that's been huge for me. I've discovered a lot of stuff about myself through having conversations with people, and just making sure that I continue to nurture those relationships, because I know a lot of times you'll talk to people for a certain amount of time, and then it's like, I don't really want to deal with that no more, because it becomes uncomfortable. But so staying in the midst of being uncomfortable for myself has been huge. So
what do you think you guys are uncomfortable with? What is that? And you mind you, you're teaching us, so it's like, what, like, you guys have wives, you guys have people that like you and stuff like that. Like, what are the things that like are like, I'm a pass?
I think it's the emotions that are attached to vulnerability, or things that you may be wanting to express that you never have before. I know for me, that's what a lot of it comes down to. Having tough conversations about what you're going through mentally, because it's always been pushed on us that you're not supposed to talk about it, or it's not a safe space to talk about them things. You keep them to yourself and you just keep them through. So allowing yourself to get it out without having to feel like you're weak or not, you're less than or less of a person because you're going through these things, when in reality we all go through
Everybody.
stuff.
Everybody. Yeah, B.
You feel me?
Yeah, B. Talk that lick, B.
To express it with or have those type of conversations with, it only strengthens you as an individual. That's what I thought. So
I got one thing I want to throw in. Some of us don't even know how to express, right? If you tell us to get up here and you want to, that you got to be this open book, you got to express. Okay, I don't really know how to do that, right? And I got to work on that every day. I'm still going through it. I'm a lot better than I was, but being an open book was something that, I didn't come from. I didn't practice it. I didn't have the reps. I didn't put the shots up for it, right? So I really didn't know how to do that. And being able to do that with your spouse and kind of walking through that road, man, and experiencing that together is really a beautiful thing. But a lot of us don't know how to communicate or don't know how to articulate it. Take somebody potentially to pull it out of us, or we have to lash out, and then you can find yourself, getting back to peace, and then you can maybe talk through it. But it could be tough, man. It's it can feel like you're the only one that's going through certain things, and you're kind of stuck and you're in a box. But just being able to open up and know you're not alone, I think, is a start.
So I have a question. Will your music really, because you really talk about how you feel in your music, and your music kind of gives a sense of what I've actually, my next question is that I think it's because we lack emotional vocabulary. And so, like with the word will, when I gave it to Brandon, he was like looking at words and he was just like, wait, do I feel this way? And then I was like, I'll look a word up if you need the definition, because I'm definition queen, because I think sometimes we go off of words based off experiences, our beliefs, or our thoughts, just how things are thrown off. Well, do you believe that in your music, people can see it just as you in your music, but then also coming from yourself?
Wait, give me a little more detail on that question, because I think I know what you're asking, but I want to be sure.
So in your music, you talk about your feelings, and you're like,
right.
You talk about how you feel. I love your music, and and you're really like deep, right? But outside of that, are you able to still be that person that you are in the studio?
I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things I had to learn was to be a little less vulnerable. I was a very, 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 very open book and would let anybody read whatever pages. whatever things they wanted to know. I was very open and talkative, and was I'm the king of oversharing. So I had to learn how to kind of dial it back and keep some things for myself. My mom's a therapist, so growing up, like she would ask us how we felt and ask us how this make. I used to get so frustrated because I'll be mad about something my brother did, and she would say, "How does that make you feel?" I'm like, I don't want to talk about how I feel. I want to talk about what's going to happen to him because he stole my toy and he broke it, and now I don't have a toy. So I think I'm in a space now where I'm pretty transparent. I believe that, like, even just relationships and friendships, you need transparency, you need trust, you need honesty, you need communication. And so I try to surround myself with people that are comfortable doing those kinds of things. I love what you said earlier, Brandon, about being around people that are comfortable with what you're uncomfortable with. That is profound. And I'm in that season of my life where I'm making friends with healthy people and setting boundaries and protecting myself, because I know I have a tendency to let people in. So I have to surround myself with people that are a little more guarded and a little more reserved, and it helps me learn how to chill out and just relax and be cool. But I think I'm pretty similar to the music.
Do you guys think being a Black man and growing up with, like, because you guys were taught to, like, don't cry, da 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 da, you don't have feelings. Do you feel like, knowing that you grew up in that, but yet seeing that you have the potential to change that, can you tell me where the fine line of struggle is for you to jump into the transformation?
I got broken. I remember I was in 5th grade, and my teacher, Mr. Shiogi, I got a bad grade in his class, and he yelled at me after class was over about my grades, and I started crying. And he was like, "Are you crying? Are you crying? Are you serious?" And like screamed at me for crying. And so from that point until I was probably like 26, I didn't cry in front of people. It wasn't until my daughter's mom and I separated that, like, everything, like, it was like a good, like, 4 or 5 days of just like cry, get it out, cry. And I was like blessed to be in a safe space where it was okay to do that. I was around my family, my parents, but it took a lot. And I thought that was my strength, was like, oh, I don't, like, when something bad's happening, it doesn't bother me. But I didn't realize that also when something good happens, I couldn't feel it. I thought depression was about being sad. I didn't realize it was about being numb. So going through that, it broke that shield and that shell that I built up, and I could feel things again. And it was like that's why I was so comfortable being vulnerable, because I didn't feel, if somebody made fun of me or said something, I didn't mean anything. But once I went to that literal breakthrough, it was like, oh, I feel sad, but I can feel it. And when something good happens, when the sun is out, it feels sunny. It's not just like, oh, it's hot out and bright outside. So definitely, I had to go through some heartbreak. I had to go through some difficult things, but a lot of amazing things came out of it, and I'm grateful for it.
I love that. Anybody
Let's
else?
pass the collection plate. Niggas is preaching in here.
Y'all on point. Y'all definitely on point. I feel all of that, Will. I feel all of it. Go ahead, my man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm sorry, Mark. I can get long-winded, so you can go ahead and take it, man, because I'll get up here.
No, I was just saying, I feel all that, man. I'm kind of like, I used to pride myself on just being even, and I don't know if it comes from sports or whatever, but you're not too high, not too low, and they force feed you this thing every single day at practice from when you were a little bit boy, right? That you gotta not get too happy because if something bad could come the next play, and you don't want to be too down because you want to do better on the next play, type of thing. So I took that to life, man, and I was the same thing. It was hard for me to be excited, man, and show these emotions. I would be happy, I would be smiling, but I always felt like I had this gauge on, and I kind of had this attitude that things really didn't matter because I wasn't going to let it bother me too much. I always had this shield up, and it was a fear thing, right? I didn't want to get too far because I didn't want to fall from that. scared to fall, so I just kept myself just right in the middle, man. I did that for a long time, and I still think about it to this day. But now, like, I find myself, I try to celebrate any win, try to celebrate any positive, and just go to the max.
Yes.
To hear you were going to say something.
Ooh, child, listen. First of all, man, I'm so thankful for you, brothers. I'm thankful for the people watching. I hope some guys are watching, and I hope that it's doing something for you. Because every time I was about to get ready to say something, somebody else would say something that resonated with me. First things first is I always try to go in everything with a lot of energy. I know, we talk about these situations and these instances in our lives, and it's kind of somber, you know what I mean? But I get excited about this, especially when I'm with like-minded individuals, because that means we could come to so many breakthroughs by sharing experiences and move forward from the knowledge that we share with each other. And that's what a community is. Sharing the knowledge, building each other up, and growing from it. So I get excited about these type of conversations. With Will being too vulnerable, I never even thought about that. I was very much like Marcus. Like, I used to always be waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I'll be at a job, it's comfortable, checks coming, I got insurance and shit like that. But I'm always like, all right now, don't let myself get too happy, because if I get too happy, that's when shit go wrong, and then we all back over. So I was very much like that. And I think, to answer your question, Tiff, what kept me from embracing vulnerability first was there were so many strongholds on my life from what my parents taught me and uncles taught me, from not crying and being a man and being independent, and you don't show fear and you don't show emotion. I had to break. For context, me and my wife are in a very untraditional marriage. We are poly. And even that, growing up in the church, being open and honest about that, moving forward and embracing that was hard, because we were raised in the church. And a lot of times our parents put these fears in our life, not intentionally, but in their mind, to protect us. My mom did come to one of my comedy shows for 4 years because she wanted me to focus on school so I would have a good job, so I could provide for my family. But that didn't make me happy. But because I wanted to please my mom, I was only moving 1 foot in, 1 foot out in the comedy world. Had I been 10 toes down, I could be where Kevin Hart is, right? But because we want to please our family members and our parents, we live with those fears in the back of our mind. And when we try to do certain things like be vulnerable, we hear the beckoning calls from our past telling us not to. So what I had to do was just tear down a lot of those strongholds and move forward with how I wanted my life to be. And I had to start working toward the image of the man I wanted to be, not the image that I was, because that gave me something to look forward to. And speaking on the uncomfortability beat, when you're growing, it is uncomfortable. When your feet are getting bigger and your shoes are a size too small, it is uncomfortable. When you pray for something and God starts moving in your life and it starts working, it's going to be uncomfortable, because you're changing and you can't change without being uncomfortable. When a butterfly is transitioning from a caterpillar and he's in that tight cocoon, I know it's uncomfortable. But when you come through, though, my dude, embrace that uncomfortability. Run towards that darkness. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Embrace that change, because, man, when you come through on the other side, woo, gang. They get a whole lot of gang is. I promise you. It's a whole lot of gang is, bro. And the simplest things make you happy. Like just waking up to my wife and she just being fine as hell for no reason at 6 in the morning. I'd be like, nigga, hey, you better come and get you one of these. Bring so much joy to your life, boy. I wouldn't be nothing without her. 70% of my success I owe to that woman, and just her grace and her patience for nurturing me into a better man, a better version of myself, because she didn't have to, bro. My wife is the quintessential example of Black love. The patience and the grace that she showed me, the encouragement, being my confidant, being my sounding board, being my lover. Man, that woman dope, boy. Hey, you better get you one of these.
That's beautiful. That's
one of these.
Go ahead, DJ.
But the aspect of a couple, of a married couple, I feel like the way he just described it is what it's supposed to be. And I think that a lot of us, I think that's lost in translation with what because believe it or not, we're taught through media. Media not just mean CNN, media meaning music, movies, WWF, that stuff is training the mind on what it is to be. And I just don't think that it's really put into our minds that this is the way a married couple really works together. Just the way to hear, just to hear the excitement, the exuberance in his voice about his wife. Like I'm out of here after this, man. I'm gonna find me one. You know what I'm saying? What am I doing? But I mean, I'm a Bible believer, and in the Bible, what's that? Yeah. In the Bible, this is the way it was created. But we are bombarded with so many philosophies in the world. And people, and it's hard because people are, oh man, trauma is it's an interesting dynamic because it causes people to say, you know what, this happened to me, so I'm gonna stay away from this. Like I'll be seeing people talk about like F love on Facebook. Like I'm not even messing with love. It's like, no, you going the wrong way. You supposed to, no, you really need love. You're built for love. But so much negativity, and I understand it. It's causing people to think that like they're guarding themselves, they're guarding their hearts, and they're going the opposite way. But we still want, you know what I mean? And then it be based on superficial means, you know what I mean? Looks, money, and so the kind of relationships that Tahir's talking about, and that you and B have, and that Marcus has, it's like they need more highlights. They need to be, it needs to be promoted more. Like, yo, let's look at this couple. Look at the man needing the woman to build him back up so he can play his role and lead his family the right way, because it's okay for man to be down in the dumps. Guess what, women? Guess what God created y'all to be? Y'all are some great people at building people back up. Remember what I told you a little bit earlier, girl? Those were two women. You know what I mean? So I just think that it takes stuff like this. Some people never even heard this type of conversation. Some people have no idea. You know what I mean? Some people think that toxicity means love. Like that's sad. Like that's scary. Like that's the opposite of love, but it's being promoted as that is love. Don't get me wrong. Like we know what toxicity comes from, and we know that even in relationships, you're going to have difficult times, but the objective is to let's work together to get through them. You know what I'm saying? And move on. We're not in this relationship to be combative. And I just think it's dope to hear men really speaking highly of their woman, not just for sex, looks, or I mean, that's kind of where it's at, you know what I mean? But I think that having this, once again, this is a form of media as well. So this conversation could literally plant something in somebody's mind that can change the outcome of their life, you know what I mean? In a good, you know what I mean? So I want to applaud you on putting this panel together, as well as everybody else that's here, man. So
thank you. And I wanted to touch on something Tahir and Marcus said. Like, us wives we're created to be helpmates. And when I'm helping someone, I am assisting them in something that they cannot handle, right? And it's our jobs also to help you carry the burden. And so it's not your baggage, the shit that we don't want to do. It's your burden. It's things that you did not know that was going to happen to you, right? So it's like, I can help you carry that up the hill because I'm your helpmate. And I think that's what it means to be equally yoked. Because if we're in two yokes and we're supposed to be moving at the same rate, if one of us is slowed down, we're really going in a circle like a protractor, right? Because the other one's only moving slowly behind the other person. And that's why I really think it's also important to have God at the center of your marriage, because when you two are not getting along, you got to tell on somebody, and you got to tell the person, your same father, like, look, he did this or she did this. Get her.
You snitching to God on Big? You wild as hell, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or one of y'all.
I never heard that before.
But I
I gotta
think
write
that
that
that's
down.
important. And I love that we have created a space where you guys are now, there's single women in this chat and they're praising all this whole conversation. But I think some of the thing is that you have single men and married men on here. And what I love is that you guys are saying that I need a space to be open. I need a space to be me. I need a space to even just be educated on emotional vocabulary if I lack anything, right? And because I'm going to have my moments. And I think what I want you guys to know is that you guys need to be okay with being honest. And I think that's the biggest thing about this conversation. They say you're asked 9 out of 10 times a day, how are you? And 8 out of the 10 times you lie and say, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just saying, you know what, today's really not a great day, for even someone to bring you encouragement. And so we literally block encouragement that is there,
necessary.
But you're just like, I don't want to have it because I've imprisoned myself into this wall where I don't want it. So I'll just pretend that I'm fine. And so I have 2 more questions because we're at an hour and I want to honor everybody's time, but if you guys are okay with me asking these next 2 questions, I really want to get them out. Is everybody all right? Okay.
Yep.
Can you identify a time in your life where mental health prohibited you from performing at your best ability? And what opportunities have you missed out on because you just mentally weren't there?
Oof.
Yeah, I'll start that off for sure. One thing that I aspire to do is write a book for barber students, because I don't think the curriculum in barber school is really it's really based to help barbers remain in the game. It's just to really, help them with understanding laws and stuff. So I want to write a book and really aim it at the barber students to give them more confidence going into the industry. And but when you're doubting yourself, when you don't believe in yourself quite to the point where you need to be, then you can forget about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really realizing now I'm going back and I'm listening to a lot of different people who made it really far in life and listen to how much they talk about, I believed in myself, man. I just believed in myself, man. I believe in myself. And I see how it can take you places that you may not have fathomed, especially when you're in a depressive state. Not saying necessarily depressed, but you don't, once again, that self-image of yourself, it ain't where it needs to be. So definitely my self-image of myself and self-doubt and fear of success, all that stuff, I'm learning to remove that and move forward. So I can definitely say that, yeah, that has kept me from reaching heights that I felt that I'm ready for. You know what I'm saying? For sure. And I can't quite remember the second question, but anybody else can go ahead with that one as well.
The second question was, and for anybody next, is like, what can you identify that mental health has prohibited you from performing or exercising to your fullest capacity, and what opportunities have you missed out because you mentally just couldn't be there? Even relationships, like, I don't know if someone's like, I miss my wife. I mean, 3 of y'all are married, so y'all better.
Right. No, I'll jump in. So, experiencing a loss that's very near and dear, right? I lost my father a couple of years ago, and it was just such a different space for me, right? I didn't even know where to start, right? So talking to my wife and just being present and being a normal me, I wasn't me, right? So talking to my wife, she studies some of this stuff in school. She goes through these different things, and she's dealt with trauma all through her life, right? And we're able, and so it's usually I'm like trying to counsel her, and we're kind of going back and forth in this way, but for her to like turn that around and kind of walk me through kind of these emotions, and you have to be to a point where you got to let emotions happen, right? And just like I said before, I come from like just keeping everything bottled up, but you got to let some of this stuff run its course, or it's just going to eat you up from the inside out. So I felt like I was missing out just on just on normal, everyday happiness, right? Because I had this broken part of me that I wasn't letting out. I wasn't letting those emotions run its course. I didn't have my time to break down and do all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to be bottled up. But I got to a point that I would just let it run its course, right? I'd be listening to certain music, many different things would happen, and I would just let it happen, right? And then sometimes I would just find myself with a smile on my face. So you just find a way to work through some of these things. And just once again, my wife has been through so much. So for me to be able to talk to her about some of this stuff, and we would just go in circles and have late night talks, it kind of brought me back to a place of just being in a positive space. So yeah, it was heavy.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
That's my biggest fear. What you just shared. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's like, my dad is my hero, and he always has been. And when you asked about safe spaces earlier, that's, my parents have been my safe space. And as you start to get older in age, one of the things they don't really warn you about is your parents start getting older too. And it's like I'm not afraid of anything but the parents thing. So I'm praying for you, and I'm glad that you gave yourself space to grieve and to work through that, because that's the one thing. I think that for me, my marriage, I got married at 21. I thought I was a grown man. I got married, I had my daughter, and I signed my first record deal within the span of like 3 months. And I thought, like, this is how you're supposed to do it. And we got a kid on the way, so we're gonna get married. We got time for counseling. My mom's a counselor, so we'll be good. And that didn't work. It didn't work out the way I planned it. I wasn't there. I hadn't worked through my stuff. I thought I was doing the right thing because I was faithful. We went to church every Sunday. I loved my wife. I was a good dad. I did what I could and did my best to like be there for her and support her. But I was broken. I was severely broken, and I had no idea. I thought she was the one that had the stuff we had to work through. And it wasn't. I remember when I realized, I think it was 2015, and I was picking my daughter up. Well, I was dropping my daughter off with her mom, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to split the rest of your life in half. I don't have you all the time anymore, and I'm never gonna be able to make another you. Whoever I'm with in the future is gonna be a different person. Just talking to my daughter and looking at my daughter. So that, like, I don't really have a lot of regrets, but instead I try to do what I can to make up for the times that I missed and make up for the things that I fell short on. And then also to like use my story and what I've been through and share it with others, put that in the music so that nobody, because it happens for a reason. And to me, I believe that reason is so either because the way God works, either he's going to use you as an example of what to do or what not to do. And for my mom says, you're going to be a psalm or a proverb. So I do my best to like take those losses and get the lessons out of them and share them with people and make sure that my friends don't have to go through what I went through. The one time, me and my best friends, the one time we almost got in a fight was when I saw him getting ready to ruin his relationship over something stupid. We were out of town at a show and he was about to make a big mistake, and I was ready to square up because I had just lost everything. I'm like, you have a chance to have you have a chance to have your family and to have your kids and everything in one place. Do not mess it up. I'm telling
That's
you, it's
powerful.
not.
That's honored.
I know how it looks like it is outside. I know what it looks like outside. You think we're living it up and we're kicking it because we're single, but when you have a solid foundation and a wife and a family and things are working, make it work. So I do wish I could have done better, but I definitely in the future will never make those same mistakes.
I love that. Be or to hear?
Ooh, for me, sometimes I find myself questioning how many opportunities I may have let slip through my hands. that God may have placed in front of me, just not allowing myself to step outside of what I was comfortable doing. Like, because a lot of times God will throw you the alley-oop, but you got to go up and get it. So, looking back on that, I think I've let a lot of things slip through my hands just because I didn't want to be uncomfortable, really. And it's something that I've dealt with and I've acknowledged now. So I'm very mindful of the relationships that I do have in my life, and I try to protect them and nurture them to the best of my ability now, because I've been on the other end of knowing, what can happen when you don't. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me, just being mindful of the people in my life and cherishing the relationships that I do have, because people are placed in your life for a reason. So you got to protect it, and you got to continue to grow those relationships.
Like that. To hear anything?
Everybody pretty much talked on the stuff. I definitely suffered with well, I don't know if it's an imposter syndrome where you feel like you're not supposed to be somewhere, like you're not supposed to be
Yes.
wherever you are, you're not qualified to be. I've suffered with that for a while, and a lot of that has to do with what DJ said. You're not thinking highly of myself, questioning everything. Even growing up, like I say, in the church and being a Christian, and knowing that what God has for me is for me. It doesn't matter who else is in the room that I'm auditioning with. But there were times when I lost sight of that. I wasn't moving with that same intensity, that same confidence. And some of it was partly due to where I came from, where I grew up at. There weren't a lot of positive figures for me to, kind of compare myself to or look up to and aspire to be as great as them. And then part of it was just like, there's a lot of competition out here. So, not being in the right mental space and emotional space really played a part in not going for every goal that I could have and should have. And then the other part would kind of be what Will touched on. Even though my daughter was here, I didn't make the same effort that I could have and that I'm making now. And I would see my daughter, how she engaged with my wife, and it's beautiful. Like you see my wife and my daughter go play, and they wrestling, and my daughter's taller than my wife. She's the tallest person in the house, just stupid tall for no goddamn reason. I don't want to play no sports, just hiding cereal in places we would got to get a goddamn step stool to have breakfast. She's childish, right? But them playing together, man, you just look at them and it's from a genuine place of love, and I wanted that. But I'm a real nigga, or I'm the man and I can't be doing all of that in me prevented me from engaging and just being silly. I could be silly on stage because people paid for this, right? And I this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. But at home, I felt like I had to be cool, chill, and reserved and shit like that. And I missed out on years of building with my daughter. And I regret that. Because I was giving the world so much of my energy and time, and I was coming home empty and drained from my family. When I didn't feel like playing, I was tired and I'm worried about bills and I'm worried about this audition instead of leaning on faith. But like when you're in the thick of it, where they say the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. But when you're close up on that situation, you close up on the elephant, you don't see no end in sight, no matter how many bites you're taking at a time. So a lot of times when I felt overwhelmed like that, I had to step back a little bit and then step back a little bit further and realize that, it's a big ass elephant. But once you see the whole thing, you're like, oh, I can handle this. This a week. This is two weeks and something right here of just, buckling down and getting it done. But a lot of times I let those situations be a mountain to me, and it was so close to me, I couldn't see a way out. So I prevented myself from having a relationship that I wanted with my daughter and being as close as we could have been. But I rectified my steps in my direction, and now we hang out so tough. We go just on errands together, just to run around the corner, grab something to eat. I pick up from school, we go grab something to eat and grab ice cream, doing all the things that I missed when I was traveling on the road or just didn't feel like getting off the couch to engage with.
I love that. I think that takes intentionality. I was just telling somebody the other day that when God sends you to do something, he gives you a free gas card. But when you do something on your own, you're using reserve gas and gas money that you don't have. And so you have to be very mindful about the things that you put your attention to, and then making sure that it's directed by the person that has unlimited fuel versus the person that has reserve fuel for things that are special. My last question for you guys is, what's one thing we as a society need to unlearn about you? And then what's one thing that you need to unlearn about you?
Unlearn.
There are so many stereotypes. There are so many stereotypes, and it's almost like offensive to speak out on a lot of them. I know one for me is that all men don't cheat, and I don't want to normalize that. I think everybody has different kinds of relationships, so I think it's important to, like, you set your boundaries. We can do this, we can't do this. This is what. But I just, as one of those people that was trying to do the right thing and be honest and have integrity, it would backfire on me because people just wouldn't trust me. The person else wouldn't trust me, and I'm like, where is this coming from? But because of the stigma about Black men and entertainers and musicians and singers and artists, it was just like, I'm having to do so much extra work because of what this person over here did. That's not me. I think that as Black men and Black people, we don't really get the luxury of nuance. It's just like, if you have this skin tone or this skin color and this hair type, this is who you're going to be. For me, that's just a personal one, just because that's the one thing I know how to do. I'm not great at a whole lot of stuff, but I know how to be faithful. I want credit for that.
That's big. I'm like, that's big, bro. Yeah.
And then and also that's credit to my dad. I got blessed with a dad that did not play about that kind of stuff. And then the thing I have to unlearn about myself was that I don't know if it's something I had to unlearn or if it's something I had to learn, but that I am worthy of and deserving of my own love. What I would do is I used to hold my love for myself hostage until I met my demands. I gotta be a star. I gotta sell 10 million records. Actually, I gotta sell 90 million records because Michael Jackson sold this many records. And if I'm not doing this, I'm not the greatest of all time, then I'm not worth my time. And I have to have a mansion in the hills and a penthouse in New York and a house on the beach in Miami. And then once I do all these things, I have 16 kids and a successful marriage, then I can make time to love myself. I can love everybody else. I can give everything I have to anybody else. But for me, once everybody else is happy and pleased with me, then I can love me. And going through enough stuff and have enough experiences to, like, get to the point where I had to love myself to survive helped me to wake up and let that go. But I'm still working on it, and still, that's why I am actively and intentionally single, because I'm learning to build my relationship with me. But that's something I'm learning. That's something I'm learning.
That's good.
Did you say 16 kids?
Oh,
Wait, did we lose him?
He said,
Hold on.
I think
Go
that
ahead.
16 kids scared him.
Yeah,
Bro.
that's sick. The internet heard 16 kids and was like, "Oh, no, I'm running my
That scared me too. Yeah.
shut it down.
diapers.
16 kids. Wow.
Okay, who's next? Marcus?
Yeah, I know for me, what the world may have to unlearn about me is that I'm not always happy. I'm not always positive. I wear a smile as kind of like my thing, but I go through things just like everybody else. And I guess the second part of that is, what do you need to let yourself
Unlearn.
unlearn? Yeah, that it's okay to be that sometimes. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be down in the dumps. I need to let these emotions have their own space and opportunity, right? To be positive, to be glass half full is cool, and that's one thing to strive for, but let's be realistic. Let's not live in a space to where you're creating this false reality, right? Life is ups and downs, so allow yourself to go to through those downs, and then you come back stronger from that afterwards.
That's good. What about you, B?
Um,
You need me to repeat the question?
Yeah, but
What's one thing we as a society need to unlearn about you, and what's one thing you need to unlearn about you?
one thing that I need to unlearn would be, I think it's okay to express my emotions. I know a lot of times you hold stuff in, but you don't think about how when you do express those things, it allows other people to see you in that light. So, um, being okay with allowing people to see the fullness of who you are, whether it's good or bad. And then society would be, I'm not too sure about that one. I guess, I don't know. You might have to come back to me. I might have to answer that.
Okay, Tahir, what about you?
Society should I don't know if they do. I just want to make it clear. I love my wife, but I ain't perfect. I got a lot more I'm sorry's and a lot more making up to do. I'm just gonna do less in the future than I've done in the past because I'm learning from those mistakes. But I am by no means couple goals. I don't want to be anybody's role model because when people start putting you up on those pedestals, they forget that you're human. I'm gonna
So,
fuck up. That's one
Right.
thing you can bet your bottom dollar. I'm gonna fuck up, but I'm gonna do it less and less. The more I live, the more I'm married, and the more I continue to grow. Me and Tiff were talking today, and she was like, "I love that you are committed to being the best version of yourself." So I don't ever want to stop learning. I want to keep growing, but along that journey, I'm going to mess up, and I have to give myself grace. And that would be the thing that I had to unlearn about myself. Is really what Will said: allowing myself to love myself, appreciate myself, congratulate myself on the strides that I've made thus far and the goals that I've completed thus far. Because I am my own worst enemy. I will take myself to the bathroom by my collar, like, look at you, light skinned fatty. You had 2 fish fillets today. How do you feel?
You're the one eating the fish fillets.
I am the one. I
I
just
do
left
too.
McDonald's. I can show
Me
you my
too.
card right now.
Me too.
I had 2. I
I
had
do
2
too.
today.
That's
Okay.
right.
And I felt bad immediately after I was full, but I felt bad. But I gotta allow myself to have grace. I give grace to so many other people and don't give it to myself. And I have to unlearn that toxic behavior because it's really bad, man. I be beating myself up, and I ain't as bad as I make myself say. So
Can I? There was something you said that resonated with me about the get. Like I'm gonna continue to. I'm gonna make less mistakes in the future. One of the like breakthroughs that I feel like this was like a gift from God that I added to my morning prayer was, for one, like forgive me for making my mistakes. And I used to always feel like I gotta promise I'm never gonna make a mistake again. But I realized, wait, no, I'm gonna fall, but I'm going to do my best to get back up. So forgive me, and when I fall in the future, in exchange for you forgiving me, I'm gonna keep getting back up. I'm gonna fall. So I love that you said that because that's like giving yourself room to make mistakes and to trip and fall. I think is powerful.
Yes. Okay, DJ, what about you? One thing society needs to unlearn about you, and one thing that you need to unlearn.
okay, so boom. I think if we speaking of black men, I think that the mind of the black man is the most sought after entity in America. I think that through media, once again, we've been programmed to um, think that operating in a certain way that's not conducive to a positive life is the norm. And I've been the last 7 years trying to unlearn a lot of that stuff, getting rid of a lot of that stuff, and because at the same time it'd be an inner battle. You know what I mean? It's like everybody else is doing this, but I don't feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. But everybody else doing it, so you know what I'm saying. So unlearning, unlearning a lot of those. Like I said, I've been on this study about the subconscious mind and programming. We've all been programmed, and so pinpointing the program. Where did it come from? You know what I mean? Uh, I could go deep, but I'm not going to go there. But just unlearning a lot of the programming and fixing it with my own what I want, how I want to program myself, which I think is a beautiful thing. Um, so the same thing that kind of a few of the brothers have said is when you're held up in some regard in society, people do tend to put this cape on your back that you didn't quite deserve, and but you kind of play the role out. You know what I mean? You try not to mess up. You know what I mean? But you're gonna mess up. You know what I'm saying? Just straight up. So I guess that would be it. But at the same time, like at this point, on what I'm realizing is like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, but it does really matter how society, because everybody's looking at you differently. Everybody's programmed, and they're in different levels, either breaking the programming or they're so deep in it. So some people are going to look at you as you're this. Some people are going to look at you as this. So I don't really have an answer for what society should unlearn about me. Just that I'm working, yo. Like I'm working, like for real. You know what I mean? Like I'm working on me. Like I'm working on me hard. You know what I mean? And I want to help as well. I want to help others once I can attain what I'm looking for. You see what I'm saying? And I think that like a lot of everybody else has kind of implied the same thing. You know what I mean? But that would be my answer. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to put emphasis on the fact that be cognizant of the fact that your mind is where the battle is, and they are coming for your mind. So once you understand that, you have one step ahead in the game. At least that's how I feel.
I agree. I agree. Everybody, we're going to close out, and I'm really thankful that the guys have had an amazing conversation with us. The only thing I need from you guys is to kind of tell people what you guys have coming up, where they can catch you at, what things that you have going on that you want people to be involved in, so people can actually reach out to you guys and actually see you guys in person and stuff like that. Anybody?
Yeah, you can check me out. I got my podcast that I'm about to do in probably about 10 minutes here. The podcast I do with my lovely wife. I feel like it's almost therapy for me and my wife. We get to talk through a bunch of things. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's serious, but it's talking through relationships. Truly Unruly _podcast on IG. And that's where you can find me. I have my foundation, True Fun Family Foundations. We give scholarships to the underrepresented youth of the Pacific Northwest. So yeah.
Hey, can I say one thing real quick that I had I wanted to say before we finish this?
Go ahead.
And being Marcus just went, I wanted to give Marcus his flowers. I'm a barber. I'm a barbershop owner. And Marcus is a big inspiration for me becoming a barber. I moved to Tacoma in '97. Didn't know anybody. Didn't know where to go to get my hair cut. Around school, everybody said, you got to go to Marcus Trufant. And so I went over to his house. He's the man. He's a football star and everything. I need a haircut. There's about 7 dudes in his house playing video games. You know what I mean? And he was cutting them one by one, charging like $5. I was like, yo, he's eating. Yo. So that gave me and I think inspiration is really big. So, and I think that if everybody recognizes that somebody's watching you, it will make each and every one of us like kind of like watch our steps a little bit more. But I just wanted to give him his flowers and let him know that he is the main inspiration for me creating my career. You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of dope that he had a podcast called the Barbershop as well. So I think everything kind of comes full circle. And I definitely wanted to give Marcus his flowers on a public forum.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate it. That's love.
Where can we find you, Tahir?
I think I still own tahirmore.com. I'm not sure. I ain't updated it in a while, but if you just search my name, everything will pop up. Me and my wife have a podcast, More to the Story. I got a new show coming out called Dive in the DMs. The Kev on Stage app, we got tons of shows on there. Y'all can go and subscribe monthly, or you can go ahead and do the annual plan. I'm doing a calendar later this year. I'm gonna lose some weight, or I'm gonna get the surgery, and it's gonna be for aunties and grandma.
Right.
You gotta find the market. And meemaws be out here lonely, so for your meemaws and your aunties, go here holler at a real nigga one time.
The more you can do, the more you can do.
Hey, look at the lip bite.
Okay. Will, where can we find you at?
The Genesis tour starts on March 23rd. Starts in LA, and then the rest of the dates you can find on my website, willjordanmusic.com. And then we're putting out a new record with Guap Dad on Friday called Control.
Hey.
Something I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, Guap Dad's a legend. And then, yeah, follow me on Instagram. I'm doing my vlogs about the move to LA and how life has been out here, and it's been phenomenal. So I just kind of sharing my story and trying to connect with people and make things happen. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me on. Thank you for considering me, and thank you to everybody for being so dope and so open and so vulnerable and transparent. I'm definitely like, I have ties to all of, like, me and Brandon went to high school together, and I'm so proud of your growth, and like, just like, it's so cool to hear you speak, and like, and just how you, like, where you are and who you are, and to see like just the transformation is amazing. Marcus, Tacoma, like, super legend. Like, I wanted to play football because that's the reason I wanted to play football, is because of you. I ended up kind of going a different route because of some stuff that happened back at Al Davies, but that, like, you've always been like an inspiration. And then to hear you got me through the pandemic. I don't know if you, so me and Kev on stage used to open up Nick Jackson's comedy shows. And so from his time in Tacoma, I watched him and watched his journey, and that's how I got introduced to you. So I was an immediate fan. And one of the podcasts, you shared your story. And I remember feeling like, dang, I wish I could like jump through the screen and give him a hug, because I know we're making light of it, and it's like, that was wild. But I'm like, oh my God, like, he's been through some stuff. So to hear that you're doing the work and that you are like, okay, is so dope, because a lot of people would not have made it through that. And then DJ, you're another Tacoma DJ. Yeah, DJ, you're another Tacoma legend. I've always looked up to you and the work that you do, just as a figure and as an entrepreneur, and I appreciate you. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing good. And then Tiff, you already know you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking care of Brandon. Thank you for being a friend to all of us. And yeah.
Thank you, Brandon. Are you dropping any growing pain stuff?
Actually, I wanted to say, she's been on me, bro, super tough about doing the another version of the book for the fellas, and I think I'm finally ready to start pursuing that and getting it put together. So, bro, is it you? And then it'll be about pride and ego. So I think I'm headed in that direction, ready to get that started. So you could be on the lookout for that.
And DJ, take that dog outside. He got to pee now. I know you hear him.
These
that dog been sitting up there whining for the last 15 minutes.
Man.
That dog can pee.
This is an hour and 33 minutes.
That dog is ready. Shit.
DJ, do you have anything coming up?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm about to blow up. Man, look, I got a whole new outlook on life. I'm operating differently. My mind is you feel me? I'm understanding how my mind works, how it's aligned with what steps in front of me. I'm gonna write a book. You feel me? I'm gonna do a podcast. Just you can follow me on Instagram, DJ Tabor at DJ Tabor. But and if I'm also still a distributor for Kangen waters, really the healthiest water you can put in your body. You can pour it from the comfort of your own home, put it in your kitchen, and it's a medical device originated in Japan. Really good product, really one of the best products that I've ever purchased. But I don't necessarily have anything right now, but I'm going up. You know what I'm saying?
So, there you go. Yeah.
There you go, my boy.
That is so good. Okay, and guys, first of all, I just want to give a thank out to one of the people that are watching, Brendan Nelson. What you guys don't recognize and did not know is that we will be bringing this live show to the barbershop back into Tacoma, Washington, and we'll be filming a docu-series. And hopefully I will be having all the guys come back to help me do this. You also can get a copy of Sisters at You at sistersatyou.com. Get it for your wives, get it for your girl. Man, because let them know, is it you, as well as I'm fixing me. And I just want to give a shout out to all the guys, to hear DJ, Will, Brandon, and Marcus for joining me tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Guys, don't hang up yet. And I just want to say bye. Everybody say bye.
Peace.
Y'all be
Peace.
easy.